everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube. Welcome back. This is your fourth Suits LA episode review. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there in the big old world. My legs are tired. It's finally getting a little bit warmer here. I'm very happy. But my legs are also tired. I did like that. I'm like, I'm exhausted. But enough about that. Here we go. We're at the 1 month mark of Suits LA. Didn't expect to be here. I really did. I completely forgot. Well, it hasn't been exactly a month. It's been 4 weeks, which, as I gotten older, there is apparently a difference between an exact month to 4 weeks, because the show premiere, I believe, on the 23rd. Today's the 17th. No, today's the 16th. So technically, a month would be next week by parameter. It's weird. It's very much weird. Here we are this week. It's an episode that a lot of the OG fans have been waiting for. I felt like this episode was... We're still on the right track for me personally, but this didn't really have the snuff of last week's, in my opinion. I'm more focused on, like, obviously, you know, building the characters out, and especially when you're advertising your core characters the way they are, that, you know, not seeing them, like... I understand what they're going for, and it is a very interesting approach. But at the same time, it still feels more, again, like it feels like a season 2 of a show when we're on the first season. Last week gave me a little bit more resonancy between Ted and Stewart, which I always believed to be, you know, the core. Like I was advertised this was going to be somewhat of a core pillar of the show. And then when we got to the first episode, we didn't get to see that. And when we got into episode 3, and I'm like, we got to, you know, flesh that out a little bit more. That actually, you know, excited me. We're like, obviously, Rick and Amelia. I believe that's her name. Is that her name? I forgot. I completely forgot. Yeah, I forgot. I apologize. But if that is her name, I did get it right. But if it's not, I do apologize. But with those, we're kind of like in one of those like weird, like, that was more believable, where like we can tell they have history together, and we're gonna know about it. Where with Ted and Stewart, it wasn't really the case where like I got convinced of that. And that's not to say that Steven and Josh doesn't have chemistry together. I still think they do, but it wasn't profound enough to me when we got to the half of the first episode and suddenly we had that switch. It wasn't believable to me, to where like that's still my holdover, where like this week they're not in a scene together, and I feel like that kind of, you know, hurts the momentum a little bit for me personally, where like I really want to be sold on this, that I really want to believe it, and that we're just in so many ups and downs right now, where like this episode kind of feels like they're neutral about Ted, where like Ted's not perfect, but they're not friends right now. They're very much not even close to any sort of reconciliation. And I guess with that being said, like, you know, this episode, while I implored it, I literally think the openings and kind of set it literally stayed like, yeah, we're gonna try and, like, you know, the thing that you guys want to see, you're not gonna get this episode. We're gonna get the other side of it, where it's like kind of like the old brass kind of teaching the new brass something else. And it's like, as much as I do like that, because again, it is fleshing out the character, it is fleshing out those specific relationships. Again, for me, it's giving me that energy of like, it's like a season 2, and we're not in season 2. We're in season 1. I would have preferred if the dynamic was to be like everyone in an office trying to build off each other. And I do understand, I'm very well aware that was kind of the original premise of the first show. So I know it wasn't smart enough to like replicate that. But for me, like, it's not quite selling to me yet. It's still not. And to go back to this episode, I think it was good. I think it's better than the first 2 in my opinion, but it's not where episode 3 were. It's not there. And the whole the Suits OG character appear, I'll talk about it when we get closer to it, but like for me, it's like, that's cool. Like, again, like I said, like last week, I'm waiting for my friend to catch up so that I can really get like the other perspective. It won't influence my decision overall, because I'm still reviewing this from a newbie perspective. But at the end of the day, you know, this episode didn't really move too much of the needle. I will give it did accomplish in like giving me a little bit more to chew with as we kind of broach into the potential, well, not the potential, the eventual troubles afoot. And that's kind of where I'm very excited to see as we progress forward, as you know, I feel like that might be the episode. That might be the moment where, like, you know, things change for me. Could be. Who knows? With all that being said, let's go for the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of Suits LA. We begin in front of the merge firm. They said the new name of it later in the episode. I already figured. I know Lane's name is attached to it, and it's a weird first name. It was never meant to be a merger, but like, sadly it is what it is. But Samantha comes over, giving Rick his next assignment as the new head of entertainment properly. His new assignment is taking care of a Veronica Mars alum, and no, sadly, it is not Kristen Bell. She is, I don't even know what she's doing right now. I don't know if she's still doing movies or TV show. I don't know where she's at. But no, it's not her. It's her father. The actor who played Veronica Mars's father is their client of the week, as he is sadly facing some legal repercussions for a very lewd adjacent action. Let's say that much. Rick's obviously a little confused by it. It's like, but this is not usually our forte. But it's like, yeah, but he's our client, so you're going to do what you can to drop these charges from it. Otherwise, your ass is on the line. And additionally, he has to work with Stewart because she wants her head of entertainment to bond with her new co-partner. Which, again, was that really necessary 100%? I don't believe so. It is just really trying to get, like, you know, Stewart and Rick kind of on the same page. Because, like, as much as they've been on the same page loosely, remember, Stewart never wanted to poach him originally. He wanted Amelia. So he did not want Rick. So he's kind of having to play, like, secondary pickle here. So, like, them trying to, like, actually build up a legitimate relationship outside of that was, I think, notable. But, like, at the end of the day, it's like, well, okay, I see where we go from here. And then we get the parallel where, like, you know, we see Rick kind of pulling in on his own, parking on his own militia. And then we see Ted's firm kind of having the valet service and everything. Ted yelling at someone for, I don't believe it's related to the cases he's working on. It's just something else entirely. He meets up with Amelia, who gives him the heads up that, sadly, the movie studio that Leslie, I think that's what his name is, the person they're representing here, the whole producer murder trial, I believe his name is Leslie, is apparently going to get his name dropped from his most recent movie as a sign of protest from the studio that they're not going to willing to support this producer anymore. Which, again, even though that's not technically related to it, it's still very much of a, hey, Amelia is the head of entertainment now. This is something that she does need to take care of, and this is something that she will take care of. And since Ted is connected to this case, they have no choice. He has no choice but to kind of, you know, go along with it, imploring them, like, okay, so the only way they can legitimately get through this, most likely, is, wait, did they mention the plan here? I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you, but they have to go through some loops and hurdles right now, so they're implementing this good cop, bad cop procedure, which I'm just like, interesting. And we get kind of two shades of it. We'll get to the next scene where Ted does not want to do this, and Amelia said, well, I guess I'm not going to help you if you don't do it. Ted's like, all right, we'll do it. And then we fast forward to the other side of it where Rick is about to ask Stewart to assist him on this matter, but Stewart's like immediately, nope, I got enough on my plate today. I don't need to help you out. And Rick's like, listen, it's orders from Samantha. She wants us to play nice with each other. Can you just help me out here? Stewart's like, fine. But we're doing good cop, bad cop. And Rick's like, okay. Actually, no, wait, no. Rick is asking him for good cop, bad cop. And Stewart's like, fine. My only contingency for helping you is you're going to come to my house to play Dungeons and Dragons, which I'm just like, Stewart Lane, Dungeons and Dragons fan. Could have fooled me. So he agrees to it, despite being very disgruntled by that opportunity. So, like, this is the things he's got to do to stay within his position. What he's got to do. Ted and Eliza meets up with Samantha, who again brings up the brash deals of like, yeah, no, the studio wants Leslie out. No questions, no comments. You know, they just want them out. Obviously, them representing is like, look, Stewart working. Leslie worked on this movie for a long time. He absolutely earns a right to it. This should not, you know, they shouldn't have to make this determination after the court. But the studio, they don't care. They're just basically just trying to tell Ted now, it's like, listen, just talk him out of it, make him sign on his own will. Otherwise, we will remove him from this film. It does not matter. That is the plan. So sadly, yeah, that's not really a good start to Ted's day, to be completely honest with you, and to be completely frank with you. I believe who goes to meet him first? I believe Stewart goes to meet their Veronica Mars's dad's actor. That's gonna sound so weird to say. It's too many. I remember what his name was. I really did. Yeah, I forgot. And I don't remember how they exactly had their first scene together. And that's actually where I'm blanking of right now. Where like, what did they meet at the station? They met somewhere. It's not at his house. Obviously, was that his house? Because the whole juxtaposition of this situation is that the actor is being accused that he used the chainsaw of all things to shape dick and balls on his neighbor's shrubbery, who happens to be a very famous TikTok person who also pranked him. But we'll get to more about that in a second. And sadly, the actor does lie to Stewart a little bit about just like how it all ended up to be. He's claiming that it wasn't me. Like, I'm being blamed for sure. Me and him got some beef, but it ain't me. Stewart immediately has like the whole bullshit detector mirror. Like, yeah, no, this guy's a no-no. He reports back to Rick, who immediately tells him what's going on. Like, yeah, no, this guy's like very much a bullshitter. And he also briefly yells at him because of the fact that Rick didn't have all his details presented to him before Stewart went over. So he was a little bit pissed on that, but it was a good teaching moment for Rick. That like, yeah, make sure you have all your ducks in a row before you send me to the lion's den, because that shit ain't gonna happen again. Meanwhile, on the other end, Ted and Eliza meet up with Leslie, lets him know what's going on. Leslie obviously gets a little disgruntled by the whole, well, not a little, a lot disgruntled about it. He's not gonna sign off early. He's like, all of his life, he's always been kind of alienated, and movies have been his escape route. So him being able to make movies of his own volition, of his own wanting free will, and that it has been successful so far for him, that this is not a decision he's going to do just to make some studio heads happy. It's not what he wants to do. And he does want, he wants Ted to fight for it. Like, no, don't let them do this. Like, again, I worked hard on this movie, even if the background was not the best, still my movie. And I'm not going to let it go without a fight. Their only play here is to expedite the process. Clear his name of all charges quickly, because originally there was no court date for this case right now, because both sides had to prepare for their actual cases. But however, Ted's like, we got no choice. We're gonna have to move this one up to Monday at the most to like get the ball moving there. Which I'm like, okay, good. We're getting some real progress here, which I do appreciate of that. That let's not stay too. I didn't want to see the whole season on this case. I really didn't. I really want to move on to the next thing. To be completely quite honest with you. Well, let's put some flashbacks over here. Ted's at a diner where Eddie, his brother, is working at. They're doing their thing, just vibing a little bit. They're just happy. Two happy brothers in the middle of a diner, away from their abusive father. Until the individual in the crime organization that bribed Ted's dad last week shows up. I'm not really to say anything much, kind of just reminding him, hey, I know where you guys live. I know where you guys are. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, just in case, as you make your next decisions. Obviously, Ted gets up in his face, like, saying that, look, you gotta be very careful. You're skating a very fine line here, bro. I will take your ass to court, and I will win. So please be very careful. And they do get a little bit close to each other. Eddie isn't really feeling too comfortable with that. So thankfully, the situation does get diffused. But Eddie's just watching, just like, okay, that just happened. But yeah. So we cut back over to the present. Stewart and Rick meet up with their client, who again, Rick tried to play a little of the glazing game, trying to like say that I'm a huge fan of your work. It's like, oh, you fan of Battlestar Galactica, big fan of Veronica Mars, done a lot of great work in the last few years. And he's about to play a video, which he assumes that, oh wow, you're gonna show one of my clips. I'd love to talk to you about that. I'm just like, my dude, I swear to God, this guy, if this guy does the convention circuit, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be super freaking mad, because this guy's just like, he's like stroking his dick for like the limited work he's done. And I'm not an actor. I'm not trying to start any beef with anyone. I really am not. It's just like, I know acting is hard in Hollywood. I know it's hard to get a role, but it's like, if you're just constantly stretching out the material you already did do, it's like, yeah, that's when you got too far for me. That's just my 2 cents. Anyway, where do we go from here? So Rick shows him the video, which is a clear 4K security camera footage of him clearly chainsawing a dick and balls into the shrubbery. And he was like, yeah, I did it. I was like, I'm sorry. And obviously Stewart gets up in his face like, I don't deal with liars. If I want to represent you, you cannot lie to me. And the guy's just trying to like, can I just get them off my case? And Rick's like, no, not going to happen. So from now on, he's got to be 100% transparent with them, 100% honest with them because, you know, if they're going to represent them, they're going to know all the facts before they go anywhere further. And he does admit, okay. So he was the subject of a prank from this TikToker where apparently he was being police what's the word? Police enforced by an officer I forgot what the name was, but it's a very fake name and he fell for it. He even went to the precinct when he was requested to like turn himself in and like try to work with the officer in person. But sadly, all he did was get embarrassed because of it. And sadly, he recorded the whole thing and went on TikTok and went live. It hurt his reputation. And yeah, that's why he retaliated the way he did. So Stewart and Rick requests the audio so that they can have something to work with here. And he's like, okay, fine. Give me like 4 minutes. I'll be right back. So we'll cut to that a little bit later. So I believe Ted is working with all the data he has. Eventually he and Amelia go to court to start the arrangement to like push the trial forward a little bit, to move the case along. Obviously it's a little bit of an issue because like, again, like technically they needed more time to really work the case, really figure out how does the prosecutor really stick a bullet into him, but sadly they don't really have anything right now, so they're just trying to buy more time. The judge doesn't grant the motion just quite yet. He does want like them to like come back and make sure that everything's legitimate before they go any forward with it. I believe we got another flashback where Ted returns back to his house in New York, and he speaks with Samantha about everything going on and trying to like, you know, that Eddie did tell her about like, you know, what had happened between Ted and Pellegrini. I believe that was the representative's name, and that, you know, as much as yes, Ted's in this field, he can defend himself, that Eddie's going to feel this sort of way, especially when he's stuck in the middle of it. Like he's going to have at least his own opinion about the matter, which is very, you know, very honest and truthful. So, you know, Ted will go take care of that, but I believe, I don't remember exactly. Actually, he doesn't take care of that this episode. I just remember that. No, he doesn't. But we'll get to like another moment about that just quite later. So back at play here. So eventually, Stewart and Rick review the tape. They're laughing their asses off. This is real. This was kind of an obvious like prank from the get go, but he didn't know. But sadly, you know, it is what it is at that point. So they kind of have to find an angle to kind of get him acquitted from this or get the charges dropped from him, because this is kind of hilarious. This really is. Like I would be angry too if this was me falling for this prank. But this is what it is. Ted kind of having really no options right now with his case, considering the fact he needs more time. But sadly, there really isn't enough bullets right now that he has that he could really use it for. So the only thing he can really do right now is to make sure that he gets that case moved to Monday, so that he can at least have the courtroom advantage on that front. Having to rely on Amanda, the live-in attorney / pro bono attorney / the attorney that lives downstairs from the primary floor, staying at. He goes downstairs to go asking her the truth. Like, Leia, look, I need your help. Like, you know, I need like another ace in the hole right now with this case. I need to move this trial up by Monday. I was just wondering if you could help me. She's like, why should I help you? The same my line of work. He's like, yeah, but like, I overheard you speaking to the prosecutor a couple of weeks ago, and you did say if Ted comes to knocking, I will come and help him out. And Ted's like, I guess I'm here to make sure you come to my aid. And she's like, all right, I'll do it. Let me see what I can do. We cut to the next day where Ted is awaiting Amanda's arrival to court. The judge was about to rule into the prosecutor's favor, since the prosecutor pulled the angel. I got a brand new witness. He's in the works. I don't necessarily have time now to confirm it, but if you give me 1 week, I will 100% have him either confirmed or ready for the actual case itself. And give me 1 extra week. That's when Amanda comes in, showcases the prosecutor's previous work on that delivery of like, give me 1 extra week type of bullshit where like she claims she has a new witness, she needs to prep him, and then by the time they get to the actual court date, there was no other witness. It fell through, and she was just able to buy an extra week for her case. And once she manages to present it to the judge, she's like, well, you have a precedent, so I'm like, if you could tell me privately who the witness is, I can't grant you the extension, which she sadly cannot give her because she got no one. So he's like, okay, well, we're doing this on Monday. We'll see you then. Obviously, Ted and Amanda briefly celebrate. The prosecutor comes over to their table, just said, okay, you may have won this round, but guess what? You're going to open the whole floodgates, and I will find everything possible to put Leslie behind bars. Sure you may. So they managed to take care of that one problem to expedite the case over so that, Ted can at least have some foothold with the studios coming up. So at least that's a win in that territory right now. Rick and Stuart go over to meet the TikToker, which I swear to God, I've seen him before somewhere. That face is super familiar. I just cannot remember for the life of me who that is. But regardless, yeah, so immediately Stuart just comes up out of the game and just says, hey, look, this was a fun prank. I ain't going to fault you for that. But however, technically, since you did file charges against him with this, beginning as like kind of like the first round, the first shots fired, technically this is also admissible to pretending to be a law enforcement official, which is in fact actually a real crime. So he's like, no, of course not. No, you're wrong. Like, they're just playing a prank. That's it. No harm, no foul. He's the one who did he was the one who brought a chainsaw to my property. He's like, I know what your point is, but technically you were pretending to be this officer to scare the bejeebers out of him. So technically, yes, we can countersue you for falsifying being a police official. So you either drop the charges or we're going to go to court twice. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll drop the case. Fine, you win. And they're like, good. Meanwhile, get a real job. TikTok is not going to last forever. Stuart, I keep confusing these people. Ted goes over to Samantha to tell her the news that yeah, I got the approval. The case is being moved up to Monday. So I'm just letting you know, like, please tell the studio heads that the results will be in soon. Just wait for that, and then you can move forward your official decision regarding how the case was. And Samantha tells him, no, not going to happen. She actually does compliment him at first. Actually, no, we're not at that scene yet. And she does let him know, like, hey, look, it's already done. He's going to get removed. It is what it is. You're going to have to, like, again, either talk to him about signing off, or otherwise it's done. It's a done deal already. So be wary of that. I know there was a scene I forgot where Eliza and Amanda bond a little bit. Apparently they worked on the case the previous year before this entire merger stuff happened. Amanda did some stuff for Eliza she's still appreciative of. So they're bonding a little bit. So I'm like, again, I do get having off-screen relationship, but it's just like the conveyment of here was just not really felt. It wasn't. Like, obviously I know they work together because it's believable, but do I imagine them being good friends right now? I don't see that. That was not conveyed to me, to be honest with you, that well. I want to say, do they figure out the plan yet? No, I don't quite remember 100% what happens next. I know we get another flashback where Ted goes to speak to Samantha about that he just read like an offer that she had to do a firm in LA. She already denied it. She said, I get letters like that all the time. This is nothing new to me. It is what it is. And Ted's like, okay, well, I'm going to go off to my softball game, so I will see you later. Which we'll get back to that momentarily. Rick goes to his client with the good news that, like, yes, good news is we got you acquitted. The charges are being dropped, so you no longer have to worry about this. But the actor's like, so it's a tie then, because like my charges get dropped, his charges get dropped, so I'm like, so there's no winner. Now we can make sure that I'm the winner. And Rick's like, why? We already basically, you're done. You're not gonna get sued anymore. I done my job. Why are you doing it? Why are you pushing your luck? And he admits that, like, the reason why he's feeling salty over this is because his kids used to laugh over his projects, and now they're laughing over this guy's videos. So he always felt a little jealous. So this was kind of like the final straw for him to pursue an actual actions with like justification. As much as Rick understands that, he just kind of, like says like, well, you can always be on his show to like, have your kids like you again. And he's like, okay, I like what you're thinking of. I like what you're thinking of. You're helping me out and you're giving me a gig. I'm like, okay, well, I want to consider a TikTok video a gig, but sure, whatever you say, man, whatever you say. I think we cut to the next day where Rick and Eliza go to meet the studio head that Samantha's representing, letting him know that, okay, you can drop Leslie from your film. Okay, that's fine. But here's the thing. If you're going to release this audit, because I forgot to mention, in the meanwhile, while Ted was doing all this, Samantha had an audit conducted of the film's production, and she managed to find what, Leslie already told him a couple weeks ago, that his partner, Stewart, I believe that's his name, was stealing money from the production for his own personal gain. So what Leslie did is he had to funnel the money back into the production, even if it was an illicit matter, which obviously, again, Ted explains to her, like, I know about this, but this wasn't the way you think of it. But Samantha's like, yeah, but either way, this piece of document will prove in a general sense he is doing an illicit activity. Even if it was like with gumption, with like positive energy going into it, it's not going to be believable in court like that. It's his word versus theirs. So it's not something that's 100% provable. So sadly, Ted comes back and says, okay, you can release the audit too if you're going to not call your bluff. But keep in mind, if you do decide to audit and release the audit for this movie, I will personally go ahead and order audits for all the other films that Leslie worked on the many years under your supervision. And I can probably figure out you probably had some sneaky business as well as yourself. The guy gets mad at him saying, okay, fine. You know what? I will not drop his name from the movie, but I will make sure that this film never sees the light of day. I will tax write up this movie before I ever decide to release it, just as a staff to Leslie for all that he's done to me. So he pulled out David Zazwa? Is that the producer's name? I forget. But yeah, so he's calling his bluff. It's like, look, do what you got to do. Nothing else we can do, basically. So I believe the next flashback scene I remember is the one. It's Harvey. He's back. Harvey Specter from the original show. If I remember correctly from the timeline, this takes place before the events of Suits OG. So any of that character development he might have had is gonzo. So just keeping that in mind for any Suits OG fans. This is taking place beforehand. And he's trying to get Ted out of his funk. He's not really doing so well in the game. And, Ted just briefly... Like, I can't believe they're having an actual conversation in the middle of a freaking game. I'm like, yeah, dude, isn't this like a time since the game? I don't play sports, so I'm like, I really don't know what's going on here. And Ted tells him the truth. Like, yeah, look, Pellegrini went to my brother's place of business. I was there. Basically letting us know, like, yeah, I know where you guys work. I know where you guys are. Like, just keep an eye out for it. And all Harvey can say, like, look, he's not here. We're playing a game, so let's talk about this later. Let's focus on the game. Let's beat their ass, and then we'll talk about this later. Even them insulting one of their fellow team members in the process. They do some weird like Batman thing, like, yeah, you're Batman. I'm just like, I swear to God, there better have been a blooper at some point in this episode where Steven just said, "I'm Green Arrow." If that blooper does not exist, I swear to God, I'll be bad. I should have tweeted that out. I don't know. I don't know if he's on Twitter or X anymore. I don't know what's going on anymore with social media. Anyway, so back to it. So we got back to it. I believe that was it for Rick and Stewart for the time being. I believe so. So the last scene. I know Ted and Samantha meet up one more time via a phone call where Ted took some time to think about it and he decided, well, you know what? You guys can't take Leslie out. You could tax right off the movie. However, I called up some very powerful clients of mine, Denzel Washington, Leonardo DiCaprio, just to name a couple. And I told them what's going on. And they feel for Leslie. And they feel like this is a big attack to the filmmakers' rights. That, like, Leslie, honest to God, made a movie, and this guy's trying to cancel the movie. So how would you feel like if some of the top actors of Hollywood just doesn't want to work with your studio anymore because of him? How much money is he going to lose? How much time is he going to have left in his term? Like, you got to keep these in mind, as you take this to him. Like, figure it out. That's all I can say. I believe this is where we get the last flashback scene where Ted, Harvey, and Eddie are at a bar. They're just celebrating. Yeah, they won the game, and they're going to the playoffs. And, as a celebration, Harvey buys everyone a glass of McLaren's? McLaren? I forgot what the name of the whiskey is, but a very nice, smooth drink, which I'm like, I never tried whiskey before in my life. I don't want to, but I'm just like, I have never, ever seen alcohol. Like, the day will come when, like, if there is an alcohol beverage that is so smooth, like soda, like water, lemonade, etc., if that drink ever properly comes without some sort of, like, backwash, like a real... Like, for me, I don't really like alcohol that much. I'm going to say that. Even before I stopped drinking, I never really was a big fan of it. I just stick with, like, hard lemonade at most, or, like, soda or water, or lemonade by the point. But, they buy it, and he's, like, you know, like, wants to try it as well. He has the funniest line in the episode where Ted's like, look, the guy likes pineapple juice across the street. He doesn't go for this alcohol stuff. Eddie insults him. He drinks the beverage, and he's just like, screw you, Harvey. I'm going to go across the street to buy pineapple. I love Eddie so much. I really... He's suddenly becoming my favorite character of the show. I'll be completely honest with you. That's just where my headspace is at right now about the show. So Ted and Harvey are able to talk a little bit just about, like, Ted's current predicament. About it. Just, you know... Not to get so much into the head about it. It is what it is. I forgot the gist of this conversation, to be honest with you. I was just more focused on the Batman Superman analogy they were focusing on, which I'm just like... There had to be a moment, like, I cannot imagine Steven did not go through this scene and any form of the blooper where he doesn't just say, I'm Green Arrow. If that doesn't exist, okay, if we do not get a blooper reel for this show, even if it's one season or more, if we don't get that, that will be the greatest missed opportunity this show's ever seen. And we're only 4 episodes in. I'm just being completely frank with you there. But this is only the start of Harvey's appearance. He's part of a 3-parter arc this season, so we might see him again next episode. They weren't quite specific on that, to be honest with you, when they were talking about it. So from there, we cut back to it. So Ted has another meeting with Samantha, this time for them to speak about it. We're like, yeah, Samantha took the information back to her boss. He wasn't happy, but he's like, okay, fine. We'll give him the movie. We'll give him the theatrical run, fine. But Samantha was able to go through Ted's bullshit and to see, yeah, none of them really were going to, like, actually give up the studio for Leslie, were they not? And Ted's like, no, I did call them. They did feel for Leslie, but it wasn't that bad to, like, for them to actually drop working with the studio again. So Samantha called for his bluff, and he's like, well, I still went to the studios like you did it, so what's done is done. And they're, like, kind of, you know, commenting on each other's progress since the last time they saw each other, where Ted now feels more assertive now. He feels a little bit more, like, cutthroat than before. And Ted also said the same thing about Samantha, where, like, yeah, no, like, I noticed, like, you're very much more braver, you're more stronger now yourself. Definitely not taking much shit from anyone now. So, yeah. So, again, still kind of a question mark to what exactly led to their breakup back in New York almost 15 years ago, but it's still very much a big old question mark, basically. She leaves, and then Amanda comes in, Ted summoning her as a little thank you present for assisting him so far in the case. He is bumping her up to to Stewart's old office as kind of like a you're welcome for everything that she's done for him so far. And yeah, I could definitely tell there's a bit of flirtatious vibes going on over here. Then meanwhile, on the other side of town, Stewart walks in on Rick getting a thank you bottle, a congrats bottle from Ted, congratulating him on the new position. And then, yeah. And we get a little bit more, like, I think this is one of my rare scenes where I really did like it, where Stewart did admit a little bit of his real feelings for why he left Ted and cut him out of the merger. Apparently it was that him and even though they were friends at a time, Ted and Stewart never really brought out the best in each other. And that I feel like, you know, now them having to reset the board with the merger, he felt like this was the proper time to, like, really reset who he is as a lawyer. And also looking to Rick as, like, maybe you and I could develop a second chance that me and Ted never did. So Rick finds that, kind and, like, reminding him, like, yeah, I'm not Ted. I'm never going to be Ted. I'm going to be my own person. But he does feel appreciative about it, which was great. And the last flashback we see is Ted returning back from the game. Oh no, he's just returning back home in general with another NBC referendum with friends as Eddie and Samantha are watching, and as Ted's going to go make some popcorn. And Ted kind of looking at them, kind of like, this is his life, and he's happy. But it's like, us now knowing what's going to happen down the road is like, yeah, it's not really going to be a really good feeling, mind you. But either way, that was it for this week's episode of Suits LA. Like I said, I thought this was good at the bare minimum. I mean, it's a bare level of good. It didn't sweep me away. There were some moments. Harvey's first appearance was like, again, for me, I'm just an outsider here. I don't really have much like insight to him. You know, again, I'm pretty sure there's people out there saying like, you missed 9 seasons of development with spending with this character. I'm like, I did, but I'm like, again, I will get to that at some point in my life. It's just not today. It's just not today. But you know, at least it didn't feel it felt kind of natural, you know. And that, but the Justice League stuff was like, yeah, no, that was forced. That was forced as hell. It was a good level of force, but it was forced. Getting to see Ted and Erica and Stuart and Rick kind of do their own things, you know, kind of like bonding on their own, was sweet in a little bit of a way. Like, again, I do appreciate that what they are trying to do, trying to establish these connections as like their own thing. I do get that, but I really would want to see more of Ted and Stewart. I think that's still like being advertised even to now the biggest relationship in the show, and the fact we haven't seen too much of it still is a little bothering to me. And I will keep saying that till we get some rectification. But I am still getting more interested in the flashback storyline. I'm still trying to see where Ted's fall of grace was to him having to like kind of reboot his entire life in LA. I'm still curious to see that, whether or not Harvey has a play to it, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's a reason why this is taking place before Suits really premiered, because, like, yeah, it makes sense. So, like, well, then why wouldn't Harvey call upon Ted Black if he was still in town? So, definitely there is a call to play here to, like, how does that get rectified, basically? So, I do appreciate that level. But for the time being, again, I thought this was a good episode. Definitely continuing the whole Actor of the Week format is appreciated and noted, and, you know, it kind of, you know, again, builds out this universe a little bit, this, like, version of our world, and I think that's, like, at least the highest compliment I could pay it so far for 4 episodes in. But with all that being said, I'm giving this episode 1.5 thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of this week's episode of Suits LA. I would love to hear your comments down below. We'd love to have a conversation with you about it. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the hopeful first season of Suits LA. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the Two, besides our Suits LA episode reviews, we're doing rookie episode reviews each and every Tuesday nights after brand new episodes on Tuesdays on ABC. We're also doing Reacher episode reviews each and every Thursdays after brand new episodes on Thursdays on Amazon Prime. We would normally be doing Madlock, but we're on hiatus for that at the current moment. But if you don't care about Suits LA, you're in luck. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode review for you. So stay tuned until then. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow us on social media. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please, stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.